Hey everyone, welcome to the Bible Belt Bros podcast. We are in my living room, family room, whatever room.
Dog room,
because she owns everything in this house. And with my best friend Andrew, and we still are friends after all these times. And
crazy.
talking about how we're best friends, we've fought a lot. We've disagreed quite a bit, and there's been some years where there was a very little communication for us, but we made it through it.
Absolutely.
I want to talk about how sometimes in church life it becomes quite a bit of a competition of who's the better Christian or who's doing the right stuff. You know, and we're constantly like in these battles a lot of times of who's winning the race when it comes to being whatever Paul was saying when you're winning the race. I don't know.
Just saying, I have on YouVersion, my Bible app, 388 perfect weeks.
So what do? Just open it up and then close it?
No, that's where I do my Bible study every day.
Joking.
Come on now. That's 2,716 days, Dusty.
We had a client that was like checking our logs for how much we work on their website. And it was just one of those like, do we need to just set a timer every day just to open up, log in, and then log back out just so this guy gets off our back? Like, you don't need to log into a website every day.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, that's funny.
So yeah, over 7.5 years. So I feel I'm pretty good. Let's talk about this subject.
Okay, well, Well, I'm just going to confess right now that my Bible app is that I can always tell when our house church is like, what chapter are we on this week? I'll be able to tell you because I have not changed my Bible app. Where is that from week to week? I'm terrible at it.
Well, to be fair.
Because I know everything, but you know.
Yeah. To be fair, quite often I can also open up just the individual books and know exactly where we're at because I do plans, and the plans don't mess with your last reading location in that aspect.
Oh, okay. Okay,
so,
that's definitely what I'm doing too.
Yeah,
I have a plan and it reads it, and I mean technically I kind of hear because Shay's doing her Bible study stuff at night, and so I'll hear it because she's playing it out loud.
Should I throw my wife under the bus?
Well, I already know, but we can do it publicly. Yes,
you already know.
I already know who's on track with the same plan that Shay's on, and who's not on track with the same plan that Shay's on. But let's throw her under the bus because she's not here to defend herself.
All right, perfect. That's the best people to throw under the bus.
That's why we do podcasts, Andrew.
Right.
Nobody can talk back to us. We could just say things. And it's true.
Exactly.
There's no defense.
So this morning, she was doing her study, and I'm in the bathroom. I just got out of the shower, and I hear her study. But I thought I had heard the bedroom door close. And so I was like, well, that's weird. But her study's still going, so she's in there. I walk out. She's not there. But her study's going. She was in the bathroom brushing her teeth or doing something. I don't know. But I'm like, why aren't you doing your study? And she goes, because it's numbers and it's so boring.
But you got to let it play through so I can get...
And I'm like, why don't you just double the speed then, make it go faster?
Yeah, you could do that.
So anyways, there's the bus. Let me go ahead and back it up and go over it again.
I thought you were going to say that they started a Bible reading plan and then people were weeks behind. So
no.
That's where like Shay's been doing it, and she's the type of person where like she has to do it.
Same.
Like once she's committed to it, she has to like stick with it, and it bugs her when she's not. But you can see how everybody else who joined the plan with you, and you'll be like,
where they are,
5 weeks behind. It's only 6 weeks into the year, you know, like it's that kind of situation.
No, what's funny though is I say funny. I'm very routine. Mm-hmm. And so the first thing I do in the morning is my Bible study, but I also always have to use the bathroom first thing in the morning. And so I do my study on the toilet. Very routine.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But you're just using your phone.
Yeah. Not my paper Bible. Yeah. That sits out in the pool house.
That's got dust on it, but the Bible app, that's got some opening time. Well, what made me think of this whole topic thing was, so in church, when you're in ministry and when you're like serving in youth ministry, we have a whole like group chat on a group me, and there's just a lot. I hate group texts in general, like, and then like you start getting like 50 notifications, and I'm just like, why am I here? I hate all of this. But the other day was pretty comical because there was this Christian event in town on a Wednesday. Elevation
worship with Stephen Furtick. I was there.
Okay. Well, I knew you weren't at church either, but so it was on a Wednesday night.
I was at church. I just wasn't at our church.
Exactly. It was on a Wednesday night, and so there was the topic came up from the youth pastor. Hey, just want to know who's going to be there on Wednesday, knowing that there's people going to this event, concert, and blah, blah, blah. And so then you had like, I'll be there. I'll not be there. We're going to the concert. Well, I'll be there. No, we're going to Elevation. And then you just had this like divide of who's the better Christian, which I think is more as who's the financially well-off Christian versus who, because of how much those tickets were. But
$30.
Well, I guess when I go to those things nowadays, like I don't buy like the cheap seats. Like if I'm gonna go to,
so you're bougie.
I'm bougie. Yes, bougie.
You're trying to get status, is what you're doing.
No, I'm just like, if I'm gonna pay $30, I might as well pay $50 and see the thing. Like not have to have binocs.
I know. I was essentially watching the TV the whole time.
Right. Yeah. You end up watching the screen. I went to a Nate Bargatze live show, and we followed him from basically his very first Jimmy Fallon, because we're really in the Jimmy Fallon everyday kind of situation. And so when he had to stand up there, then we followed him, and that was like his first comedy album. So we've seen him in like small clubs, which was like really cool. And then now we're going and we're trying to sit close to the front, but you know at that point you're still looking at the screen because you're so far away, even for paying for basically front row. Still so the stage is so far away. And so I know the feeling. You're like, well, now so we're gonna go see him again, and we're like, do we pay $300 or do we pay $150? And because we're gonna look at the screen in either way.
And you're complaining about $50?
Well, I don't remember how much the tickets were, but they're a lot more expensive now that he's been on SNL a few times and blah 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 blah. Yeah, they're pretty crazy. But
that's I'll stick with Netflix.
Exactly. Anyway, so we get into this group me, and the group me becomes this like, who's a better Christian, who's a better servant, who's like more committed to the cause, it just becomes like this almost a debate between like, because people are justifying their actions of going to a worship concert with people versus justifying their actions. And I'm like, one, it's the church, it's Elevation's fault, because they're doing Christian bands, Christian concerts, Christian events. They do them on Wednesdays on purpose.
Right. And Sundays. Because they know that those are days that your routine is regularly to go do something for God or to a worship thing. So they know like churches will buy bulk tickets so they can sell more tickets to these events, because their churches can go. Like ideally, yeah, it would have been cool if we were a church that could buy 100 tickets and take every kid, like have the slots, and all these kids can like pitch in money to go to this event, and we could do it as one big thing. But realistically, that's not possible. Let's see if I can find any instances. Now, real quick, just to be fair, they're doing these every night of the week, not just Wednesday. So somebody has to get the Wednesday nights.
Oh, and that's always Tulsa, because Tulsa's that smaller location, like venue, basically.
Right. And I just pulled up their. Let's see, they're in Pittsburgh today. They're in Toronto tomorrow, then Detroit. So yeah, definitely Tulsa is the smaller market, and did get the. Well, let's see. What is the 4th? The 4th's a Tuesday. That's Hartford, Connecticut. And then they're in New York, New Jersey on that next Wednesday. So
like I said, I'll be at church because I'm poor and I don't have friends. That was my response. And I don't know if people get my sarcasm and my goofiness.
Because everybody in there is your friend, essentially.
I know, right? Exactly. I could have went with anybody that was going to that concert, and it would have been fine. But then, like, some people had committed to serving, but then they were given tickets to this event, and then they just immediately dropped out of serving. So, like, planning center constantly had to. So we had to like basically makeshift the whole like front of the band of like who was singing that day because of people who ended up getting tickets to go.
Right.
And they're worship leaders or want to be worship leaders like at some point. And so of course they want to go to a conference where it's about, one of the bigger worship bands out there. So like, I'm just gonna call people out. So Randall was like, same as me, making the joke, but also probably, jokes are
truth,
right? A little bit of truth, because he was the guy that was getting bailed on planning center. Like we end up not having a lights person, not having a lyrics person, the sound guy's gone, like all these people like that basically didn't decline on planning center, so now we're trying to find them. They might not have accepted, but that's not the same thing as declining.
Right.
And then you had like, well, somebody bought tickets, so I don't blame this person for going now. It was like, okay, that's fine. It's whatever. But then you just had like constant, I'll be there, I won't be there, I'll be there. And then there was like Trent, which he was preaching on Wednesday night, so he was just being goofy. He's like, I'll be there because I'm called to lead and serve and not be entertained. So, and I was like, I'll be serving where I am called to serve this Wednesday, just like every Wednesday. It's just so funny. But I know that could hit the wrong people the wrong way. Right. It just like went down from there. It's just people are like defending who's going and not, and it's just like, just reminds me that every group conversation like that, or every time something like that happens in a Christian group text, it becomes like this who's the better Christian argument.
Yeah. And
we base that off of our own principles of what's important to us, because technically, like I've been told, we had that one youth pastor on a long time ago, on everyth's been a long time ago on this podcast.
Right.
We had that one youth pastor on that was like, technically youth ministry is not even biblical. Like having a youth separate ministry for youth is not even a biblical thing. Like it's the church in general or whatever, but we just make it up and it's just like our own thing. And so like we just have like these things that we're deeming more important, or whatever, but then somebody doesn't do it and now they're wrong. Just like how every church split ends up happening. Yep. I believe this, you believe that, you're wrong, go over there. It's just funny to me, like that's how it ends up these conversations going. Now, this is all lighthearted stuff in our group for the most part, probably. Maybe so there were some wounds out there. The youth pastor finally chimed in like an hour or two later and was like, listen, I'm not trying to start a civil war. I'm just trying to figure out who's going to be there to make sure that there's adults there that will be able to handle the situation. It was just so funny. Like, listen, guys, calm down. This is, this started out as a joke and funny, and now is, there's some shots being fired here. It's just really hilarious. But
yeah, he actually, so I'm not part of that group, but he did text me offline and asked me if I'd be there, because I'm always there every Wednesday, but I'm not technically a leader or anything like that. I just show up.
You guard the doors. We'll have some people walk in randomly off the street sometimes, like, what's going on, guys? Because of our location area. But you got to make sure. I don't think you're legally allowed to be here. Yeah. Some of you, so.
Yeah. Or kick out the occasional drunk.
Yeah. Just somebody walking down the street. So.
Yep.
So that's what just reminded me, and obviously we've had the same situations where, like, not even in a group text, where having different beliefs or having a different conviction maybe is the way to go from it, and then you disagree with it, and now we have to pick sides.
Yeah.
And it's like, the churches is so dumb. Why you always have to pick sides on this?
Yeah, it is. It's like, pick God's side. That's just the side you need to be on.
I think that's the hard part, right? We all have the same Holy Spirit, but we're all hearing different things, because we all have these different filters that we're hearing this from.
When we interpret things differently, so yeah.
Like I was thinking, I started getting into listening to Vodi Bakum.
Oh, I love Vodi.
Again.
Love Vodi.
It kicked off of House Church last week. Was there was something that pulled out a statement, that had resonated with me from a Vodi Bakum sermon years ago. And it was like, we praise God for who he is and what he's done. And basically saying he don't have to do anything else for you.
Right.
Like,
absolutely.
He could not answer any more prayers in your life, but he's still worthy for what he's already done.
Yes.
So like that was resonating with me. So I started listening to more Vodi Bakum, but there's a lot of Vodi Bakum things I don't agree with.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's like, and there's a lot of speakers like that, like even Francis Chan. Love him, but there's some things that are like, okay, that's a little, I haven't heard that before, but I'm hearing it through the lens of what I've always been taught.
Yep.
And, and I'm hearing it through this. Like we were talking about, Shay and I were talking about like buying a new car versus a used car versus whatever car, and it's like, I want to buy a new car so bad, but I know based on my Dave Ramsey knowledge, based on like how everybody I've ever heard talk about somebody who's ever bought a new car, that's the dumbest. I know it's a dumb decision, but if you have the money, you could do it,
right?
Yeah,
because you instantly lose that value, yeah.
And so I'm just like constantly like, I've never had a car payment in like the longest time. And so like the idea of going against everything that I've ever believed in, even though I like want to, and it's like we can't afford to do it doesn't mean you should. You know?
Exactly, yeah.
And so
Could you tell that to my wife? Sorry, shots fired again.
Don't you have like a Corvette?
Yeah.
Aren't you? Yeah.
Which point?
That's yeah, exactly. What's the point?
Which point? It's not new though.
Oh, that's the okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
I have payments on all my vehicles, but
oh my God, how do you live your life?
Because I'm bougier.
Well, that's what we were trying to decide is like, all right, are we ready for the lifestyle of what it's like to have a? Because right now we just do whatever we want. We don't have any payments. We have.
And see, I just don't do anything. I say that we just get back from Florida.
Yeah, but that wasn't like a bougie trip or anything like that. Probably. Even on those trips, you're probably like trying to cut things here and there to make it fit the budget. You know.
No, I was trying to get status the whole time. So,
okay.
So I wasn't holding back.
I was trying to get those miles up on my credit card.
Yeah. Lisa tried to buy status.
But you're hearing things through that filter of whatever you've been brought up with believing or whatever preacher that you're used to listening to and following. You're going to kind of have that lens when you hear anything from God's word. I'm laughing because Andrew messed up his microphone and now he's on his tippy toes trying to reach it.
Well, it's creaking over here and I'm like, can he hear that through the mic? I don't know.
I probably can. I'm not editing it out. And so that's what I'm just saying is like we hear these things. We have the same Holy Spirit, but we've all had different preachers with different lenses that we've all heard things from. And then that's how we end up sending it out.
Yeah, because honestly, a lot of my beliefs have come through Vodi Bakum because I listen. I have Lisa listening to Vodi, and I may have stopped for 2-3 years, but I listen to him on the regular. There was a pretty clear shift in his. Oh yes, I believe everything, and then I'm like, whoa, this is getting a little radical, a little different.
There was one thing that I remember him saying that was like about just procreating, and we should all have like because like Muslim families and stuff like that have more kids than Christian families, and so ideally, he's technically right. Like if we don't lead those families to Christ, they're going to overpopulate us, and Muslim is going to take over Christianity just by the numbers. But so he's like, basically every Christian should have 10 to 20 kids is kind of what it felt like. And I was like,
But you say this, they have 10 to 20, but usually only a couple of them live.
Oh.
Sorry.
Maybe I do edit some. No, I'm joking. Oh, yeah. But so anyway, so you have those lenses.
Yeah.
And then what happens is you get in these group texts and you have keyboard warriors in those group texts as well. And those can drive you.
That's what.
bonkers.
Oh, my. Let's not get on. Yeah, because they'll say it in text, but they won't say it to your face, and it annoys me.
Oh, I love that. Like,
yes.
It happens to me at work all the time.
Oh.
Like you get, why did this happen? And then you see him in the person, and you're like, hey, man, I was just, those guys, they're crazy. I'm like, what are you've been yelling at me this whole time, and now you're on my side when you're with me, and then you're going to be on their side when you're talking. I just don't.
Talking about you, yeah, dude. Oh my man, yeah, I'm going through some of that right now, and
and I hate it because emails in general, like just the constant back and forth. That's like not addressing everything that was just said in the so if you say a point, they're not going to address anything in the point. They're going to attack the one thing that maybe they can twist, and like nothing gets solved in those situations.
Absolutely.
But just having to deal with the keyboard warriors, that I just can't.
Yeah,
I just can't, and that ends up what happens with Christianity. It's just we fight all the time through text, through Facebook,
through GroupMe,
through GroupMes, and it's just like, bro, have a conversation.
Yeah.
Just call. So anyway,
I bet you that is what he was wishing he had done after that group's text. It's like, I don't know. Should have just called everybody.
I don't know, because a lot of it was probably Megan and Trent going back and forth at each other, but they're like, that's banter.
Right. Yeah, because they're close friends.
Am I watching too much UK stuff that I just said the word banter?
No.
Okay, cool.
Because I use that word too.
Okay, cool.
And I don't watch anything UK.
I watch a lot of UK shows nowadays, but we know it's banter, but you could be somebody on one side of those arguments, and then you're like somebody who's offended for that person when that person's not offended. It becomes that situation.
Yeah.
Or you're indirectly offending somebody else that had the same viewpoint as Trent, and so, or vice versa. But anyways, don't go to Christian concerts on Wednesdays.
Nope, I will.
But
Boycott Christian concerts. That's all I heard from Dusty.
yeah, Christian concerts are stupid. It's a money grab to do them on Wednesday nights and they're purposely taking people away from church and regular activities so they can profit.
Just wait until I clip this and put it out there with
no
no context.
No context. That's the only thing we're going to...
Dusty says
Christian rock worship services are
evil
of the devil. Technically, you can make that argument because it took people away from church.
No, it didn't, because it was church.
Well, I agree with that. But people who invited people to church, because for instance, there was 36 students on Wednesday. We typically have
actually not bad.
We typically have like 80 something.
Right.
So my thought, and I might be wrong, but my thought is ideally the people that are going to those Christian concerts are the ones who also invite friends to church. So if they're not going to the concert and they don't take their friends to the concert, that friend is not most likely going to say, well, Jeff's not going to be there, so I'll skip this week too. And so now you have people that aren't coming to church at all because you're going.
But it's also a double-edged sword, because some people who don't invite probably found it easier to invite somebody to a concert.
That's what I'm saying. If they did invite them to the concert, then that's a completely different thing.
So it could be a double-edged sword. I mean, yes, maybe not attend your local church, but maybe they did experience God in another way. And Stephen Furtick did preach a message.
Well, yeah, and I don't. I'm now on an argument side, and I don't even agree with it. But but what I'm saying is like, that only works if you brought that friend to the concert instead of to the church. But ideally, there's going to be a pocket of probably 10 or 15 kids that did neither. In that moment,
Yeah.
Because positive peer pressure is what grows most youth ministries. And so that was just the running joke. Okay, that was my argument. Was there was 50 people missing. There wasn't 50 people that I saw going to the concert.
Man,
out of that group, 50 students.
I saw a lot. Let me tell you.
Okay, you saw a lot, but not 50 students from that would go to the movement.
Yeah, I don't know how many I saw.
There's probably like 30.
There's a lot, is all I know.
But there might be 20. There might be 20 missing. I don't know. That didn't come to either. So that's all I was.
It's actually crazy because Kyle was 3 sections from me.
Yeah,
and we could see each other, and then. Another one texted my wife saying that she could see us. I was like, okay, I guess I can't do anything wrong.
What are you gonna do wrong at a Christian concert?
I don't know, but that's the thought that went through my head.
I guess I'm gonna have to raise my hands because they're gonna be watching me.
I can't slap my wife, I guess.
I don't think you're ever supposed to do that.
Oh, really? Oops.
That's wrong. All right. Well, I'd love to keep this random conversation going, but I have a work meeting here in 5 minutes, so I'm going to have to prepare for that. But thanks for tuning in, listening. Let's see what side of the argument you're on. Are you on the let's go to church and do what Trent says, and like I have committed to Christ and I committed to God that I'm going to serve in this area? And I'm going to give up, things that might come my way that are good opportunities, that are not bad things because of the calling I have for the Lord? Or are you going to go have some fun for a night and enjoy time with your family and friends?
Right. At a Christian concert with a great speaker. Have a good one.